Right then, let's have a look at XRP then, shall we? Let's have a little treat and we'll have a look at XRP. So XRP has made some decent moves. I mean, the last video I made on this, it might have been the live stream, but the last time I remember charting this one out, I did have a strong feeling that it was going to go at 20 cent. The idea behind that being that we were rejected from here and here on 2 occasions, and breaking above here would make a giant move. My anticipation actually would have led it up to either the 100, that's the 200, actually the 200 simple moving average, or the 200 exponential moving average. So unlike most other charts, XRP is extremely bearish. You don't need me to tell you that. It's one of the worst looking charts in cryptocurrency for a top cap coin. That would be. It's got a bad reputation. Clearly, when you have a chart like that, it's going to be difficult to really sing your praises. However, I do like to trade this one, and I do kind of have a reasonably modest bag of it, and that's not because I think it's going to reach all-time highs. I'm not living in the clouds, but you know, technically there's no reason why it couldn't. We've all seen what's happened to Cardano recently, and there's no reason why some of these old dead looking charts can't re-emerge. You know, they've got massive market caps behind them, and they're heavily traded, especially XRP's heavily traded. You know, everybody seems to hate it, but people trade it nonetheless. So let's have a look at where we're going to go from here then, shall we? So first of all, one thing we've got in its favour is that we've been sort of can't get my words out. We've been underneath a descending trend for over 2 years, okay, and 2.5 years, similar to the one that Bitcoin's been underneath. It's not on here actually. I did have it, but I'll just pop it in for you now, just for the fun of it. What's going on with my chart? So Bitcoin is still beneath it. Consolidation trend line. Okay, so look at that there on Bitcoin. So bump, and just recently bump, and maybe it'll bump again. But the idea behind it is if we break out of it, then there's no reason to suggest that it's not going to go super bullish again. Okay, so what happened with this chart here is that I did spot this breakout earlier on in the year, and I made that trade, and actually it was a really good trade for me because I saw that we were rejected twice, and I thought, well, I'll tell you what, you know, it's not worth holding on to it. If it's not going to go crazy like I wanted it to, like I expected it to, I better sell, and I sold. What we saw here though is we saw it being supported on the trend, and then we broke down beneath it. So it was quite weak at the time, and also the market itself was weak, as you can see. Breaking down from here, breaking all the way down from here is exactly what Bitcoin did. So we go to the same time frame, and this is basically where we were with the XRP pump, and then we broke down from there. So you know, it's vulnerable, massively vulnerable to Bitcoin's moves to the down. Okay, it's not gonna move you know, completely decoupled from Bitcoin. It can't. It's tied into the same market structure, even though it does do its own thing. So unlike Bitcoin, it's been going down ever since. However, we broke out of a descending trend. We're still outside of that now, so we broke out of it again. I made that trade, obviously, because it's the obvious trade to make that trade. It didn't break above the 200 exponential, and it was rejected several times from it. So you know, I sold that trade. I'm talking about leverage trading, by the way. So in this entire time, all the way up from here, all the way down from here, I hold XRP. All right, I'm holding it. I'm not selling it off. I'm holding it. I'm basically hodling it. I'm accumulating it the entire time. So when I say I sold my position. You know, I made money on it. It's obviously decreased in value significantly, and then I go long and short all the time. Every single time, accumulating more XRP. If you don't do leverage trading, don't bother. It's very risky, but if you are interested in it, I use Bybit, and there's a link below, and you'll get some perks from that affiliated link. But like I say, it can be pretty dangerous and deadly for people who've never used it before. So I kind of advise don't do it unless you know you think you know what you're doing. Anyway, I digress from the point. Okay, so the thing I'm saying here is that we are above this here. So technically this means that we are technically in bullish territory. So what does that mean? Does this mean this is accumulation for the big move? It could do, even though the MACD doesn't look anything like accumulation. In fact, we've got a downwards trend on it, to say that, to be honest, that's not yet. I mean, it could be accumulation. You can accumulate all the way down, but it's not very constructive, considering we're now supposed to be in a bull market for XRP. It's supposed to be the bull market for XRP. We could easily come down to test this, and my thoughts on Bitcoin, because we have to revert back to Bitcoin, my thoughts on Bitcoin is that despite the moves that we've had today, I think that if we did break out of this little trend line that we've got here, this is just very short-term trend line. If we broke out from here, we would come back up to test the big trend line from, you know, the 2.5 year trend line that we're stuck beneath. The consolidation, basically. I know it sounds crazy to think, but all of this technically is consolidation. All the way up and all the way down, there's still consolidation from the $20,000 top that we had. So, where was I? Okay, so yeah, I still think that Bitcoin actually has further to fall. Even if we break out of here, we can make it up to this trend line again, and I think that we'll break down from it. Only will the bull market truly begin for all coins and the market in general when we break out of this. And in saying that, you know, I thought that before on 2 occasions when we broke out of that trend line for XRP, and as much as it did pump, it broke down again. And thinking about it, I mean, this was the entire market of the economy, the stock markets, everything collapsed at this point. So you could kind of write this off to an extent. Things were looking a bit weak and a bit flimsy at that point, more than that. So there's a lot more dynamics in play than just one chart. But with XRP, I'd like you to take a little step back and have a little think to yourself, okay? With or without this chart, we will eventually go into a bull market, eventually, okay? So XRP is massively underperforming, and I'm not saying it's not going to fall down again to areas like 10 cent. It could do. There's no reason why it wouldn't do if the rest of the market collapses again in the wake of all the things that are going on in the world. It could quite easily do that, and it could even go sub 10 cent, okay? I'll be trading it all the way, accumulating the entire time, because one day we will come out of this in a bull market. And as it stands, XRP technically is ready for that bull market already. It's already ahead of Bitcoin when it comes to being ready and poised, ready for that bull market. Technically, this is the true accumulation phase for XRP. The consolidation has ended, and this, I believe, would be considered the accumulation phase, okay, where people have got their, I suppose, not their last chance, but a relatively decent chance to be buying it within quite a large range. You know, if we come from here to where we are today, you know, that's a 100% range. You know, if we dropped, you could lose a lot. You could lose half or more of what you've put in if you bought at this level. But the goal isn't here. The goal is back up here. Even if we were to go up to, you know, $2, which isn't our previous high. Previous high was $3.50 or more. You know, that's 1,000% gain from where we are right now, and it's not even at its all-time high. Now, personally, I think that the XRP could come up to test these levels, bump and bump. This is not a bullish chart, like I say. All of these moving averages are pretty much the wrong way round. What you'd want to have is this at the bottom, this beneath that, blah 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 blah. You get the feeling. If we flipped this, these moving averages completely on top of each other, that's what you'd want to see. We don't have that. But how do we get there? You get there through candlesticks like this, and keep pushing up. And the key is, if you can stay above this 200 exponential or the 200 simple, then you will eventually get that. At the moment, we're not there. We're half of the way there. Chances are we will, if we do get to these levels, we will be rejected from them. If we are not rejected from them, it will be massive. It will be huge. That's where we start to really go and rally. And if we break above there and get supported above there, it's big time. It's big time, and that's what we're waiting to see. But again, this is accumulation phase. Like I say, Bitcoin, I believe, is likely to come down. Even if it goes up to 10,000, you know, it's only when it breaks above 10,000 for me that we're going to start making some and that's the bull market. If we get rejected from 10,000, or if we don't even get there and we start to come down, then of course XRP is going to come down too. The key for me is that this entire area from here down to 10 cent, maybe down to 5 cent, is accumulation, and those numbers will be dwarfed in the long run. Where I'm not saying we're going to get to $3.50 like we did before. I'm not saying that. I'm saying $2 would be great. Even $1, that's a 5x from where we are right now. So that's not out the realms of possibility. Would you like to 5 times your money in 18 months? Of course you would. And is that likely? I think it is likely. I think it is quite likely. We're talking 18 months though, but I think it is quite likely. So I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, but I think we are in technically an accumulation phase for this coin, and you could buy in here and you could lose temporarily a considerable amount of your investment, or you could hold out for what could be a 5x, maybe a 10x in 18 months. I'm not a moon boy. But this is how the market works, and like I say, we've got a trend line on Bitcoin that wants to be broken and will get broken one day, and that will signify the bull run for the rest of the market. We've already broken above there with XRP, and of course we could break down back down beneath it, and that would be super bearish. But XRP has already, even though the chart looks terrible in comparison to Bitcoin, it makes more sense to look at it like this, because this now, even though we've just continued to make lows all the time, technically it signifies the end of the consolidation phase, which would move us into an accumulation phase, which can take a long time. It can take a year. You could be accumulating for a year. You could be stuck in these general sideways moves for a year. That's where we are right now, in my opinion. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. I hope that was valuable to you in some way, or interesting, or maybe just a pile of rubbish. If it is a pile of rubbish, leave me a comment, or join my Telegram, or Instagram, or my Twitter. Either way, let me know how rubbish that video was if you didn't like it. Take it easy. Bye bye.